Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome you to another League of Legends video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about a champion that has finally been seeing a resurgence in the mid lane. Personally, I am happy and not happy at the same time, because I love playing this champion. I think she's a lot of fun and she fits my assassin playstyle, but I'm also not happy because I just simply do not like playing against her. So for whatever reason you have not yet guessed what champion I am talking about, it is LeBlanc. This is a champion that has been seeing a lot of ups and downs throughout League of Legends. At times you would see her near the top in terms of pick order for a champion in the mid lane. But not too long ago she got hit pretty hard and then she absolutely fell off the charts. It's like she almost ceased to exist. But Riot, they came back, they gave her some buffs, for instance giving her now 4 seconds to go back to her W's location, on top of also buffing her passive, so now it's actually not even bad. And I will even admit, personally, when facing LeBlanc, I have fallen for the clone numerous times, because now the clone runs in sort of a smarter path. But on top of that, they also made the invisibility portion of the passive work extremely well, which is great because it can definitely take out some turd aggro if you do it correctly. And it can really slow down someone's burst on you when they're going full ham. But with all that being said, let's go into LeBlanc. I want to tell you guys exactly why I think she's good, why I think she's bad, my playstyle, what skills I get, items, and overall my runes and masteries. Again, I don't like doing this sometimes because I don't want to see this champion in the mid lane, but I really want to talk about her because she definitely deserves a mention now. So let's go over the positives. First of all, the biggest thing is the fact that she's a huge lane bully. She's very annoying to face. And this is mainly the reason why I hate facing LeBlanc, because her laning power is just so strong and it's really hard to retaliate. And on top of that, she's extremely difficult to gank because she's just so mobile with her W, and on top of that, if you can mimic her W. The next point is something I already talked about, the fact that now she has 4 whole seconds to go back to her W's location. Now that might not seem so much, but every single second matters in a team fight, and 1, 2, or even 3 seconds in a team fight feels a lot longer than it normally does. So the amount of juke potential that LeBlanc now has, especially if you mimic her W on top of using the W itself, is quite absurd. Which relates to the last point I have on that list. Next, you have her passive also, like I mentioned, is actually pretty good now. A lot of chances to juke out the opponent, mess up the abilities that they're casting on you, especially if they're targeted. And overall, it's a lot easier to fall for the clone, unless you have some sort of ignite or some sort of marker on the main LeBlanc. Another main thing is the fact that even though her silence is gone, her damage is still very much there. She can easily burst someone down from 100 to 0 if you're just a little bit ahead and you have Deathfire Grasp. And the next point is one of the main reasons why I think LeBlanc is just such a great champion. So if you've been following my videos lately, I've been talking about a lot of champions with great kits, for instance, Jace. And LeBlanc is definitely one that comes to mind as well. The thing I love about her kit is the fact that a lot of her abilities have very low cooldown. Well, at least once they're maxed out. And thanks to her ultimate as well, this leads to a lot of options that you can do with LeBlanc. For instance, you can gap close with W, use your Q, Alt, E, ignite for the full damage, or you can use W, then Alt for maximum range, on top of maximum juke potential. You can switch it up with maybe just using a Q, W, E, and then E again for just maximum CC. And overall, she just has a lot of options that she can change it up based on the scenario. And in my books, the champion that has more options than others is a good champion. And like I said with her W, she's just really hard to catch, especially in teamfights or if she's just walking around by herself, maybe like bottom lane. To me right now, she's pretty much a caster version of Zed, just on steroids. So those are the main reasons why I think LeBlanc is a solid champion, but of course there are negatives, so let's go into that next. The first negative about LeBlanc is of course the main one. She no longer silences her targets. This is one of the main reasons why LeBlanc was so good, and also why she fell off so hard. But luckily for her, she got a lot of other areas buffed, so now she's actually still pretty good. So the fact that she can no longer silence suddenly just doesn't seem as bad. The next point is the fact that I honestly think LeBlanc can be easily misplayed, because since she has so many options and you can use her spells in so many different ways, if you happen to do it incorrectly for a certain scenario, you'll just look like a fool and probably die pretty fast, while not getting a whole lot done. The next thing, for a caster, she does not have any hard instant CC. I mean, sure, her E slows and then snares, but again, it's not instant and the slow isn't hard CC, especially when you compare her to other top mid laners, for example, a Xerath or a Syndra, who both have a long range instant hard CC. Farming is a huge problem with this champion if you're not used to it, which is why usually I actually max W first, and so do a lot of other people, to try and help this. And the reason for that is mainly because her auto attack animation is so-so, and she doesn't have the biggest AoE. I mean, her W is pretty good, but it's pretty long cooldown until it's maxed rank. And the final thing is the fact that she is a mid-range caster. She has to go into the fight pretty much melee range to try and do a lot of her damage, as opposed to one of the more annoying mid laners like a Xerath or Syndra, who can sit back and fire off their spells from quite a distance. Next, I'll talk about my build. For abilities, I get W level 1, then Q, and then either E or W, doesn't really matter, depending on how lucky you feel. But from then on, I do max W first to rank 5, then Q, and then E. Again, because it helps with the wave clear and it helps with the juking. For masteries, I go a pretty standard 2109 for LeBlanc, not much to see here, so pause the video if you need to. And for runes, I really like to run Magic Pen reds, flat HP yellows, flat AP quints, and AP per level blues. To me, LeBlanc is a very offensive champion, someone who should go in, do damage, and get out before taking too much in return. And to complement that, I like to go on offensive rune page. And last but definitely not least, the items that you get on LeBlanc. So I do like to start off with the Dorans and of course 2 pots, and I try to rush the Deathfire Grasp almost as fast as I possibly can. This item complements LeBlanc's burst absolutely amazingly. And then I really like Morellonomicon because it's cheaper than Athene's and it offers the exact same stats that you really want. Again, I don't really care about the Amar, I want to go in, do as much damage as I can, and get out. And Morello does let me do this faster. And then of course I have Rabadons, a Void Staff, and an Hourglass are all pretty good pickups, and I also put Abyssal in there because it's pretty good as well. Since usually you'll be close enough to the target that you're bursting down that the aura from the Abyssal Scepter will be effective. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope you have learned something new. Tell me how your games go with LeBlanc, tell me in the comments, tell me on Twitter, and please don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends. Peace.